So this video and the next couple are going to be kind of a mishmash of things, and as you're looking, it's like, wait, where'd everything go? So have flooding issues, and we'll get to that in a moment. So I just picked what will be the last of the large tomatoes. Starting to split. I mean, they're a good medium large. They're not like beefsteak size like the other ones. I don't know, there's about 12, 15 pounds maybe of odds and ends. That's really what's left. As I've talked about before, there's flooding issues, and the primary one was this one. And what happens, and I'll try to set up the tripod as I pull some of these out of the buckets. Not today, it's hot. It's about 100 degrees inside the greenhouse and rising, but I was just trying to get some of the well, I wasn't going to cut any of these down, but I've got one of these, and I think it's this one. Yeah, it's this one. You can, let's see if I can fish everything through. You can see the perlite all over the plants where it's been rising up. So I just cut the water off to that one, and that's been leaking all over the place and keeping this damp. Even though there was a lot of flooding and I expect it to be wet, you can see fresh drippings where it's basically dripping onto the board and just dripping all the way down. So I'm going to cut out a couple of these plants, trim up the rest of them. I have green waste that goes every other week, and tomorrow is garbage day and green waste day. So one or two tomatoes here or there I'm going to try to let ripen. We'll see how long they last. And just try to trim up a few things. But basically I cut out the two cherry tomatoes, which was this one and this one. This actually was a grape tomato, which I thought was not. So those are all cut down to those last night. The Serrano is doing real well. Some of them are ripening, and I put a string up kind of holding it up. They actually grew way out of the bucket above the tomato cages that was there. And I did some real heavy trimming of these two grape tomatoes. So I didn't cut these tomatoes off, although they're already splitting or getting nasty. And there's part of the vine going up in here, like this tomato. This tomato's still good. And I was going to see what happened over the next week or two. See if it started to grow a little bit more before I cut them out. So let's back this up a little bit. The Serrano will go for a while. It's a fairly new plant, right? Actually, it's not a new plant, it's just been taking off since I moved it up on this side of the greenhouse. It's amazing, right? You buy these two plants. If I remember right, I want to say this one was runtier than the other one, but you know, the red one's twice as big as the orange one. But anyways, you can see it's kind of wilty. Again, it's hot in here. I need to make sure that it's getting enough water, so I need to check the lines. Because this one is not as droopy as this one, so it tells me there might be a water problem. And a little bit of cleanup for here, and then like I said, is not today but down the road I will get some pictures and show you how big the roots are, because basically the roots will take up probably maybe a quarter of that bucket, and they will be so intertwined that even though you water it, the water can't get through the roots and into the drain and then down into the tote. But this is the last year, in theory, for doing buckets. As I've talked about a long time ago, I want to get to using either the rock wool or the cocoa grow bags, and that will get rid of all of the drainage system, and basically you just have feeder tubes. And that's pretty much it for this piece of the update. I am cooking in here like you do not believe. Again, it's over 100 degrees. Oh, look at those radishes, because I didn't water last night. I was going to water this morning, and then I've been out to the greenhouse. All the plants that didn't get watered last night are sad. Look how bad that cucumber plant is. So let me get some water in those. And the pepper plant's not so bad, but that plant, that one looks really sad. And obviously all the radishes are wilty. I was at the nursery, and I talked to them about the raspberry. They said, look, we store them in the shade. It's transplant shock. It's damn hot out, and could probably be some of the fertilizer you put in. Don't fertilize it next time, but I read stuff online that says fertilize it. And I said, you have a year, so bring it back. You can bring it back now, or you can wait till next year. So we'll see what happens. I bought 2 more, and I'm going to stage them over here in the shade. Well, it's shaded half of the day, and kind of get them acclimated to the heat and just water them in their buckets. I'm going to pluck that one out and put that in a 5-gallon bucket and stick that back here as well, and see maybe if I can revive it. If it shows a little bit of life in the next few weeks, I won't take it back. The only problem is, so this is a candy, and it's thornless and doesn't require a trellis. Everything else at the nursery had thorns. Not that that's a big deal, but it had to have a trellis. So I went to the other nursery of the same name. It's called Green Acres up here in the Sacramento area. And I went to another one of the Green Acres, and they had some of the canbies. So I bought 2 plants. I figure, let me grab them before they're gone. And worst case is if I take that one back, then I still have 2. The lemon and lime are doing well. Keep them watered, watering from the top still. And I'll save the other surprises for another day. That's it. Got nothing else. The only thing, like I said, is dealing with flood issues. And I think I dumped 2 full IBC totes in the backyard this week. I didn't physically dump it. It leaked out. Let me see if we can see down in there today. You probably can't see, but that's about 2/3. So there was a little leaking going on. Not a lot, but just trying to prevent it. Oh, so that's the other piece. So as I'm cleaning out the greenhouse, so the only thing that's going to be left are the pepper plants. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be tearing down the greenhouse this year. Multiple reasons. As you have seen, all of the PVC tubing is bending, flexing, popping out of its supports, and everything else that it should or shouldn't be doing. And the greenhouse plastic has basically welded itself to the PVC pipe. So as I touch it or flex it, some of it is ripping. So holes aren't too big of a deal. We don't get a lot of rain, but it needs to be rebuilt. So I figured while the plants are basically done, like I said, the peppers are up for a little bit. I'm going to start dismantling it. I'm going to peel everything up. I'm going to take up all the landscape fabric, disassemble all the wood. I'm going to fix the sprinklers underneath that have some issues. And hopefully I get moved out of this place before I have to rebuild it. If not, the plan is to rebuild it with metal conduit versus PVC pipe and make it a little bit taller, possibly a little wider. A little wider would give me either room to walk behind the plants, which I don't because I'm not a midget, or if I can get it much taller, I could technically go in maybe another foot narrower and get between the sprinkler heads and just change the sprinklers so they are 180 degree instead of 360 sprinklers. But basically rehab the sprinklers, water the backyard, try to get some of the grass to come in about a month or 2 when it starts to cool off, and see where that goes. Like I said, maybe I get lucky and I can move from this place. But that's the mishmash of updates this week. Like I said, so can't complain. You gotta figure 20, 30, 40, 45, figure 50 to 55, we'll say 55 pounds of tomatoes out of those 8 plants, maybe 60, because I did give a bunch away. So other than that, that's it for this week.